in the real world, your body can roam, but your mind is restricted to four corners that constantly feed your negativity. I mean, really think about that shit because that's really what it is. You're a fucking prisoner. Welcome to the Alpha Social Club. I'm your host, Esteban. This is the first episode of 2019. Happy New Year's, you guys. We survived. The world didn't end. Um, Mass hysteria is still there. People are still complaining about the same things. The gyms are pretty packed. Now we're all trying to get rid of this holiday weight. I think I probably gained a few pounds. I mean, it's a given, right? I always say, well, you have to pack on some weight for the holidays to combat with the winter and the cold weather. But man, that comfort food is definitely delicious. I know the majority of you guys, I'm sure, indulged in the holiday feast, but it's okay. It's not a big deal. It just happens once a year, maybe. Hopefully, you can take control over it the remainder of the year. Just one of the hardest things that you can do. But the holidays, who gives a shit? It's December. The cake tastes good. I don't know what culture you are, but in my family, my mom usually makes tamales and pozole for the holidays. Which, hey man, once a year, it's pretty bomb. I mean, I don't know how I would eat that like every day, but it kind of takes away from the whole purpose of having that, especially tamales there in the Latino community, the Mexican community. It's one of those dishes that you don't just make it just to make it. You're celebrating something. If you're eating tamales, at least that's how you're kind of domesticated growing up. But since there's a fast food restaurant almost in every corner. I think even like Wiener Schnitzel had tamales now. Fuck, they look terrible. It's like chili cheese tamales or something like that. I was tripping out on the commercial, but so you can get a tamal pretty much any time of the year. So it honestly takes away from that whole eh, kind of reputation that it has as being a dish that is cooked or made during the holidays or a special time. And it's really cool to kind of keep that tradition going. I really don't I don't eat that much tamales. I don't really crave them. I think it's psychological. As soon as the year starts hitting, winding down towards the end, I think psychologically I just kind of program into my head that I want some tamales and the tamales sound good, and so it might be that. Now that I think about it, might be putting that in my head. But so glad that you're able to listen to this. That means you survived another day, another hour, another minute, and it's definitely a blessing to be able to get an opportunity to fail again. Because that's what life is. It's a bunch of little fails that somehow work out, and it's the beautiful thing. It's amazing. It's good times to be alive, regardless of what the internet says. And thank you for joining me. Like always, go to the official website, the ascpodcast.com. There you can link up to the show. Send me an email. I want to hear from you guys. See how you guys are doing, where you guys listening from. I'm really curious to see where everybody's listening from. I'm right here in Los Angeles, and that's one of the cool things about the internet is how accessible everything is nowadays. But it it's a pro and a con in a way because just speaking, I guess, as a musician, anybody can record an album in their bedroom now if they have the money and a little bit of talent. They know the basics, and you can easily put it up on iTunes. I mean, don't believe your friends when they tell you that there's something special because they're on iTunes. Anybody can go on iTunes. It's you can use one of these services like TuneCore where you submit your song and it kind of gets released in different platforms. I think they work with like Amazon Music, iTunes, and some of the big streaming. I think Spotify as well. So it's so easy. Anybody can make an album and put it on iTunes, and it's just kind of it adds to it. I'm sure, you know, cinematographers, TV, movie directors. I'm sure they're feeling the same way, where there's just so much content available, and you know, I don't have cable, but I'm sure there's still over 100 channels in that. And when you really look at it, they're essentially the same shit over and over through different channels, and you feel that you have a lot of options, but you generally stick to the same magazine. See, I'm thinking of my old job that I used to have, because I used to work for a magazine and distribution company, and we used to service the gift shops in the airport. Those little shops where you grab like keychains and stuff like that, and we used to do their books and magazines, and there was bays and bays and bays of magazines and books, and essentially people just buy the same shit all the time. I mean, you can give somebody so many options, but I feel like the more options you have, the more kind of confused you get, and you just stick to what works. And people would buy the same magazine. So it's always a Gossip, People magazine, Us Weekly. The guys used to grab Maxim, Sports Illustrated, ESPN. Um, women had Cosmo, Vogue, InStyle. So it's like, if you look at it, it's like TV channels. The guys, they want ESPN, Sports Center. Um, they pick up Sports Illustrated, and then they want a Maxim. It's the one of those fucking channels. I don't even know what's on right now, but we have our interests even with magazines. It's the same thing. So when you look at what Dish offers or DirecTV or whatever, I mean, yeah, it's a bunch of channels, but dude, it's like you're watching the same channels over and over. You have your go-tos. That's why I love Netflix so much, because you can pick the category and whatever you want to watch, with the Fire Stick, the Roku, or the what is it, Apple TV. I mean, you're definitely in control of it. And I did take advantage of Netflix during the break that we had. Um, I started watching. There's this show on Netflix. I saw the, what is it, Bird Box, all that shit that everybody's putting up memes everywhere. I saw that movie. It was pretty cool, actually. Um, One of my buddies was telling me that he read the book after he watched the movie. I guess there's a Bird Box book that I never even knew. And apparently, well, I don't want to spoil it with you, but the people that come out that are blind, I'm not going to say what part of the movie they come in, but the people that come out, the community that comes out um, during the film at some point that are blind, apparently in the book, they purposely took their eyes off to be blind. So I wonder why they didn't keep that in the movie. That's actually kind of cool. And I asked him that. I'm like, dude, why wouldn't they keep that? Like, that's a really cool little twist. And he said he saw an interview with the director, and she was saying that she didn't want to end it with like, or make it be like a sad kind of ending and add to the depressed nature of the film that it has in certain scenes. But I told him, dude, she still didn't really satisfy people, because everybody was complaining that they didn't get any like suicide alerts, as far as, because the film has a lot of suicide in it. So if you guys haven't watched it, and you feel a little bit uneasy about suicide, or you have suicidal thoughts, or you know you can easily be triggered to go into that rabbit hole. And I definitely suggest that you watch. You're careful with it, because it does have a lot of suicide. I mean, for me, it wasn't a big deal, but I can see why people would take offense to it. There is a lot of suicides in it, but I don't know. It's just crazy, the society that we're living in. I mean, I can see how that can trigger somebody. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe the networks, or the movie networks, or the movie companies. Maybe they need to, how we have like the rating R, explicit language. Maybe they should put an S, or something in front of a movie that gives you a heads up that there's suicide in it. I mean, I get it. I can see how that can be an issue. It would be, it would be pretty cool for them to give you that heads up in the beginning. So you decide if you want to watch it or not. With the Netflix talk, I was watching this new well, it's new to me, but I guess it came out like 7 years ago or some shit, but I was watching this UK show called The In-Betweeners. I don't know if you guys ever seen that show. It's just a group of kids that are going to like high school, I guess, and they just get themselves into so much shit, man. But the crazy thing about the In-Betweeners is it kind of made me reflect a little bit in the society that we're in here in the States, you know. We like to say that, you know, we're the strongest nation, and even though our military is the strongest in the world, I mean, we like to think that we're tough and this and that. And seeing that show, the In-Betweeners, the way they talk, how they make fun of, you know, stuff that we won't even dare make fun of here, and they get away with it. And here people want to get you fired or ruin your life for basically expressing how you feel. Over there it's just kind of like chill, you know. They were able to use a lot of derogatory kind of, you know, terms and stuff like that. And in comedy, I mean, I feel like comedy should be able to, they should have like full access to everything. I mean, I don't care if you're white, you can make fun of Mexicans. Like, what the fuck's the big deal? If you can't laugh about your own insecurities or your own culture, or you know, the lack of motivation in certain cultures, if you can't laugh about it, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like, who cares? Who gives a shit? It's just words. It's just sounds. It's just vibrations that people create with their lips that you give it a meaning. You know, it's we should. I feel like we should live in that society where everybody can laugh at each other. I mean, I remember growing up, we used to say your mama jokes. Yeah, I don't know if you guys, maybe I'm dating myself there, but if you grew up in the 90s, you remember those yo mama jokes. Some of them were pretty racist, you know, and they made fun of blacks, browns, rednecks, just anybody. Anybody was made fun of, and you laughed about it. You know, yeah, you're kids, you're stupid, I guess. To some people's eyes, you don't know what you're saying, but the point is that the teachers weren't really making a big deal about it. Like, and we were fine. Seeing that show, The In-Betweeners, just kind of made me realize how in other countries they really don't take certain things that we do so serious, you know, especially words. Like, I don't really understand why we give so much importance to words, to sounds, to vibrations that come out of our mouth, when, I mean, they're invincible. I mean, the only reason you could see them is because you hear them, and that's how you know that they're being circulated around you. I mean, when you read it, it's a different story, right? I mean, you see it in the screen, and you associate certain feelings with certain words, but when you're talking to somebody in public, and let's say they're, if you consider them being racist towards you, you're reacting to something that you can't see. Words are invisible. I mean, it's just sound. It's just vibration that you're hearing. I mean, you're giving that much importance to something that's created. I mean, I don't know if I mean, I guess I could say out of thin air. I mean, because, you know, we produce it and then we vocalize it so that you can hear it, and then you process that, and whatever you want it to mean, that's what it's gonna mean. And and it's crazy. It's crazy to think that we're in that year or that society right now. I mean, it's 2019. It's crazy to see that 19 after the 20. I mean, I still remember when the Y2K scare back in the year 2000, when it was going to transition from 1999 to 2000. I remember that, you know, there was mass hysteria, man. People were buying canned goods, water. I mean, they were definitely thinking that something might happen. I remember I was playing with a band that New Year's, 1999 to 2000. I was playing with the band, and we were doing a house party, like a New Year's party. Somebody had the TV on, and they were streaming what is it, Dick Clark? I think he does a New Year's. I don't know if he still does it, but I think Dick Clark was on TV, and there was a countdown, I think when there was like 10 seconds left, we stopped. I mean, we were mid song and we stopped what we were doing, and then we saw the year 2000 come in, and everybody kind of seriously, like everybody looked around, like, oh shit, we're still here, like we're still here, you know. And we just kind of we didn't miss a beat. We just kept going with the song that we were playing, and it was it was funny, dude. Like, and then when 2012 hit, they were saying that, what was it, the Mayan calendar ended, and so that was a scare too. A lot of people took that serious, you know. Like the Mayan calendar is one of the accurate ones that is out there. I mean, it's pretty amazing how that ancient civilization was able to use math and certain science and to be able to craft something like the Mayan calendar. And remember, there was a guy I knew from Guatemala, and he always would make fun of it because he was like, "Man, all these people think that the Mayan calendar ended." He's like, "You know why the calendar ends?" And I was like, "Why?" And he said, "He said it's because when the guy that was making the calendar, the Spaniards invaded that region, and as he was gonna chisel in, you know, more of the calendar, they ended up killing him, and that's why the calendar ends." And I was like, "Dude, that's pretty crazy." But I mean, but who knows why it ended? Honestly, I mean, it's a joke that's circulating about that, but who knows how it ended? Like nobody knows. Like, but we seem to give the importance of like, oh, that's it. It means that the world's ending, and yeah, there's been a few. I mean, I know Nostradamus was is a big one where a lot of people like to say that he was pretty accurate with his predictions, but who knows what happens, man? Who knows? Who knows if it's really like I hear people say like, oh well, that's luck. I mean, is it really luck? Like, is it really luck? Let's say you work hard for something and you know you prepare yourself for that moment and it finally pays off. I mean, is it really luck? Really think about it though. I know a lot of people say it to be humble. I mean, in my opinion, you work for it, you know? In my opinion, you deserve where you're at. It's no luck. I mean, the same bus that can hit us, you know, we can also align ourselves with certain things that make that bus not hit us at that split second. I mean, is everything already destined to happen? You know, I mean, that's more of a romantic kind of thought, but I like to think that maybe that's possible. You know, that you know maybe everything's already set, and we just have to somehow learn something from this journey. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. Nobody really knows, dude. I was some guy today was yelling that he asked me what do I think how were we created, like how was humans created, and he was saying that in his opinion Adam and Eve, and I'm like, dude, it can't be that simple. Like I'm like, dude, we're made out of bacteria. How can you explain that? I mean, bacteria was around way before humans, you know. I just didn't really want to get into it, but sometimes you have to listen to people and just kind of, you know, they're entitled to their opinion, so there's definitely no judgment, but sometimes you can't really try to convince people, especially with that religion. I mean, why are we so worried about where we came from? I mean, I've said this before, but it's said that anxiety is an obsession with the future and depression is an obsession with the past. Why are we worried where we came from? Why are we worried where we're going? Like, just enjoy the moment. Enjoy this time that you have right now when you're listening to this. You know, you're alive. You know, that's what matters. I mean, you know, it's sometimes it's people are already in hell. If you want to think about stuff like that, I mean, you're constantly upset. You're constantly, you know, in a bad mood. I mean, seems like that's hell, you know. But you can easily kind of change your mentality and slowly kind of get yourself back. But I don't understand. It's just very difficult for certain people, you know. It's like to a lot of people, you know, being incarcerated is one of those things where you try to avoid, and you know, you watch shows like Lock Up Abroad and stuff like that, and you think, man, I never want to go to jail. When you think about it, these guys are locked into small little square for sometimes 23 hours a day. And, you some people go crazy. Solitary confinement is a tactic that's still used, that psychologists and people that study that, they can tell anybody that that shit doesn't work. It creates more havoc than it does as a form of punishment. I mean, there's no rehabilitation going on in jail, but when you think about it, these people are in the cell, right? And your body is the one that's stuck in these walls, but your mind is out. Your mind is roaming to the outside world. You're thinking about that ice cream, or you thinking about that spot that you used to hit for burgers, or that loved one that you want to kiss, or that club that you used to go and hook up with a bunch of people. Like, you're living outside of that cell. It's your body that's kind of restricted, right? When you really think about it. I mean, with your thoughts, you're not really in that cell. You're constantly thinking of what the outside world is doing. So what's the difference between that person and sitting in that cell and somebody that's really negative out in this real world? There's really no difference. The only difference is that the tables now out here, the tables kind of turn. So instead of, when you're in the cell, instead of your body being restricted to four corners and your mind being able to wander off into the abyss, or however you want to say it, out here in the real world, it's complete opposite. It's your body's able to roam, but your mind is stuck in a fucking square. So you're still a fucking prisoner. It's just different things that are restricted. In jail, your body's restricted to move, but your mind can wander. In the real world, your body can roam, but your mind is restricted to four corners that constantly feed your negativity. I mean, really think about that shit, because that's really what it is. You're a fucking prisoner. You're a prisoner of your own thoughts. So next time you're watching Lock Up Abroad, and you think, man, that person has it rough, you're probably in that same place. It's just that your mind is restricted, not your body. And it's just stuff to think about. We're always quick to judge other people and feel, oh my God, I'm glad. Sometimes if you're humble, I mean, you appreciate the fact that you're not in the situations, and you understand that it could be worse. But some people just don't think that that'll ever happen to them. Certain things, some people live like if they were invincible. If you're gonna do that, I mean, live life to the fullest. You know, don't walk around like we don't use the same restrooms, and we don't wipe our ass the same way. Don't walk around like that. You know, anything could happen to you. And it's a rude awakening when we're finally kind of shown some of these lessons that life has to offer. But I always say, it's nothing's permanent. All you have to do is survive the transition. Whatever it is that you're going, let's say your girlfriend dumps you. It feels like shit, right? But you're not always going to feel like that. I mean, yeah, you could be depressed and you could be a depressed person, but you'll still be happy. You'll meet somebody else. And all that little section of your life where you just got dumped, and you think life fucking sucks and this and that. That's all that is, a transition to a future person that you're gonna become. So when you think about it, any hardship, if you don't understand that it happens for you, it doesn't happen to you. Just think about it as a transition, because that's all it is. And all you have to do is you have to survive that transition. It's a rough road, and shit always fucking feels like shit. Whatever it is, something that maybe something traumatic as losing a loved one, or getting dumped, or getting fired. I mean, I've met plenty of people that tell me, dude, if it wasn't for this person leaving me, or if it wasn't for this job firing me, or if it wasn't for me losing my home, I would never be in the situation that I'm in. Some people, something like that can really affect their lives forever. They never recover from it. But there's people that kind of open their fucking eyes, and they're like, oh shit, I'm like this because of that. That could have easily went a different way. And it's just one of those things in life where 99% of the job is attendance. You just got to show up. You got to be there. The Tao Te Ching. I've talked about this in previous episodes. They say, "Do nothing, leave nothing left undone." When you think about it, it sounds like, what the fuck? You want me to just chill all day so nothing can be left undone? But what they were referring to is life. You know, do nothing. Where don't worry about it. Don't worry about stuff that stresses you out. Don't worry about where you're gonna be in 10 years. Like, don't worry about any of that stuff. Don't try to change it. It'll change itself. Just maintain, a mindful life and take care of yourself. So important, dude. Love yourself, dude. Eat better. Make your body feel good. I mean, I remember one time, I don't think I've told the story before, but when I used to work at that place where we used to service the gift shops, I remember I walked into the break room from one of the stores to get like some paperwork signed or something like that. I can't really remember. And I was wearing like a polo, so you could see I'm like fully sleeved. I have two sleeves on my fingers are tattooed, my hands tattooed. Um, so I've gotten a few tattoos in my life. So I walked in and there's this lady. She's right there. She's having her lunch, and then she looks at me and she's like, "Hey, how can you do that to your temple?" And I was like, "Well, what's this lady talking about?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "Well, look at you. Like, why would you get tattoos? Like, that's a temple that was given to you. Like, it's a sacred temple. Like, how can you be so disrespectful?" And I was like, "Damn, this lady's she's out of control. She's getting out of pocket." So I let her finish. She gave me an earful. Apparently, I wasn't respecting my temple. And so I just kind of was really respectful. And then I said, "Well, can I tell you something?" Like, mind you, when she was taking her break, she was eating a Big Mac. She had a large soda and some fries. And I was like, "Can I tell you something? Like, since do you think that temples are really important and they were given to us?" I told her, "What are you doing to your temple? Look at what you're feeding your temple. Like, I highly doubt that the God that you believe, would want you to cut your life short and not feel full of energy, and I'm sure that God that you believe in didn't want you to have inflammation because of the shit that you eat. I'm sure that God doesn't want you to be stressed out so your immune system can be compromised and you can get sick." So I'm like, "What are you doing at your temple? Like, you're worried about me getting tattoos, fucking up my temple. What are you doing at your temple? You're feeding it fast food. It can't be healthy." I told her my tattoos won't give me diabetes. My tattoos won't put me on meds. And she didn't really like that, but she never fucking she never talked shit after that. Like, she never mentioned my tattoos. So I don't know. I didn't want to disrespect her, but I'm just like, dude, like, who am I bothering with my tattoos? Like, I get that, you think it's my temple, but you gotta look at what you're doing with your life first, before you could even like criticize my life. Just do some maintenance on your life. And that's a good thing to always think about is everybody's always going through shit, man. We all have insecurities. Like, I don't care how fit you are and how beautiful you think you are or how people see you. Like, we all have insecurities. We all have shit that we're working on, and I don't even know where I was going with this, but just just always know that before you judge somebody, like, just look at what you're going through. Yeah, there you go. I recovered. Before you try to judge somebody, just kind of always see what you're going through, and it's we're the best freelance psychologists out there. Whenever our friends or family they go through shit, we always give them the best advice that we never take. Right? I mean, it's easier said than done. And sometimes I feel like I was telling my girlfriend a few weeks back, she was going through some shit, and I was like, "Hey, you know what? You give really good advice. Why don't you do what you would do if your friends were in that situation that you're in? So if your friends were in the situation that's stressing you right now, what would you tell them to do? And then she told me, and I was like, well, then do that. So I'm like, maybe that's something that can help you. And if you want to deal with an obstacle or a situation, maybe you should just treat it as if your friend was going through that. And what advice would you give them? Sometimes just seeing it from a different perspective like that, it just kind of opens everything up, you know? Everything starts making sense a little bit more. And, um, and sometimes it's all that we need, you know? Sometimes that little break or just to change that perspective, that's enough. And at the end of the day, it's happening for you. It's not happening to you. It's just something that, hopefully you realize that you're gonna learn from this and you'll be a better person, you know? But it's 2019. I'm already seeing the memes out that are saying I already fucked up 2019, but 2020 is my year. I mean, those memes are funny, but I'm sure some people are gonna feel like that for sure, you know? And it's barely the beginning of the year. I don't know where you guys are at, but like here in LA, we're still getting pretty good weather. It was sunny today, but the mornings are super cold, but then the sun comes out and it kind of balances out. So I know some of you guys are dealing with snow and stuff like that, and more power to you guys. you know, they don't make them like you guys out here in the west side, man. We're wearing scarves when it's 72, and we're crashing into each other when it's drizzling. So there's that, you know. But if you guys made resolutions, I mean, definitely I wish you luck with that. I know the big one is to lose weight. You know, everybody wants to lose weight. Um, just remember that whatever it is that you want to change, you definitely have to be super consistent with it and create a habit. And by doing that, you have to basically every day you have to work towards it. If you want to lose weight, I mean, I wouldn't say go to the gym every day, but when you're not working out, even the days that you're working out, but especially when you're not working out, just still try to be careful what you eat and what's going on there because you don't want to jeopardize your health, and it's just gonna feel like you're in a constant loop if you eat like shit and you go to the gym. I mean, some people might argue that it's not important, but I don't know who really knows what's up. You know that shit when it comes to losing weight. There's millions of ways that people claim it's that like the go to, and everybody's losing weight. So I feel like a lot of people don't like. Some people that are doing keto, carnivore, and they start talking to somebody that's vegan, vegetarian. They start talking shit to each other, like, well, look what happened. My health is fucking awesome. You know, I eat a bunch of greens and I'm a vegan. But then the carnivore keto person's like, well, I feel the same way. And, I eat meat. So you start kind of going back and forth to kind of prove that your way is better. But some people just, they're too stuck in their views that they don't really sit down and analyze, what are the commonalities between veganism and, let's say, like the keto diet? Is for the most part, and I'm not saying that this applies to everybody, but for the most part, every single diet, if people do it to the way that it's supposed to be done, um, and they feel healthy, any single diet, what they would have in common is that they remove, sugar, you know, um, processed food, um, all that shit, all that bad shit. Everybody removes that. So when you think about it, you're arguing with somebody that's a vegan. I mean, just think about that. Maybe both of you guys feel the way you do if you're doing keto because you both cut out sugars and processed food. I mean, that's definitely public enemy number one in any single diet. So whatever it is that you try to do, I mean, just remember that in the beginning you're gonna feel great because you've been on an American diet for your whole life, maybe sometimes, and all of a sudden you remove processed food and sugar. A good rule of thumb is not to drink your calories. I mean, a lot of people, they think a Gatorade's healthy and it's got a shit ton of sugar and, oh, well, I need the electrolytes. Dude, you're not Michael Jordan. Like I highly doubt that you're sweating up a storm where you need to up your electrolytes with a Gatorade. I mean, it's just fucking sugar with water. It's just fancy Kool-Aid that, the marketing in the 90s kind of convinced everybody that it was healthy. But, try to not drink your calories. Just drink water and, keep it chill. Take it day by day. Like, don't try to get ready for that cruise that you booked in July just to put pressure on you. Take it day by day. I mean, that's the only, before you know it, you're gonna be really in it, and it's just it's just natural for you to have that embedded in you, and you don't have to worry about slipping. It's okay if you eat like shit once in a while. Like, it's not gonna do anything, you know. If you eat healthy all the time and you eat like shit once in a while, it's gonna absolutely do nothing to your system. The same way that if you eat like shit all the time, but you eat healthy once every 3 or 4 months, that salad or whatever it is that you think it's healthy, it's not gonna do anything to you that benefits you. It's definitely a daily thing that you have to always be mindful of. And I wish you guys luck though, you know, because if everybody's happy, then it makes it for a better commute, in the freeway if all you guys are happy instead of you guys stressing over things. And let's just help each other try to get over anything that we're going through, but it's there's a few things that are lined up that I'm pretty excited about for this year. I won't get into any details, but it's already looking pretty promising, and I can't wait to experience that and see what I can learn from it. But I'm gonna let you guys go. Just want you to know that I appreciate you guys. If you guys can, I would appreciate a review and some feedback on iTunes. That helps with the show's ranking, and hopefully you guys can do that. That would be awesome. So if it's nighttime, I hope you guys are having a good night. If it's daytime, I hope you guys are having a good day. If it's morning, good morning. Tomorrow's a new day. Peace.